Hello. This is Tando from Cosmic Spark, and I'm back again with another video. This one's going to be a reading, so typically I don't know what the title is going to be until it comes out. I have done a pre-shuffle though, so if you're ready, get some tea, smoke up, whatever you got to do, put me in the background while you do the dishes, and let me tell you a tale. Alright, let's go! So, I've asked about the overarching theme of the reading today, and it's going to be the fall. So there's something here to do with new beginnings, okay? So I always try, hello Lucy, she loves, as soon as I start filming, she has a radar for it. Yeah, all right, you can watch the outside world from that window. Out of all the windows in the house, she chooses to pick the one closest to me. I guess I should be grateful. Okay, so let's see what we've got going on here. So collective, you're coming through as the Queen of Wands in this reading. You're coming through as someone who is all about their business, all about their pleasure, their joy, their goals, focused on themselves. And that's a fantastic energy. You're currently centering yourself. You're currently realizing that centering other people has never gotten you anywhere, and so you're certainly doing that now. You're putting yourself first. When people invite you to places, you're asking yourself if it's more to your benefit or their benefit for you to attend before you make that decision, which is really good. There's here something about mindful consumption, so you might be trying to eat better and being more conscious of everything that you consume. This could be consuming food, this could be consuming television, consuming music. I have thought about making a video of how to keep your vibrations high, which would involve being discerning what type of music that you're playing, you know, what you're eating, all this sort of stuff. So if you want something like that, please let me know. And you might be rebelling against a patriarch if you're someone who lives with family, or maybe there could be some family drama at the moment, and so you're I'm just gonna let that stay in the video, whatever. If you're someone that, yeah, you're involved with your father, you could be rebelling against your father at this time. You could be being selfish in the eyes of a father or a paternal figure. It doesn't have to be your biological father. It could be anything along those lines. But of course, the juice had to come through. And so we've got the devil. And I love this devil card. Like, how devilish is that? Some of you have an ex, a no good, gaslighting, cheating, STD spreading ex, okay, that's decided to come into this reading because apparently they miss you, okay? They are someone who's intelligent and cunning, someone who'll get whatever they want no matter the means. It might be someone that you avoid because you know that they've got fantastic powers of persuasion, okay? Yeah, they could be energetically chasing you, so you might be feeling their energy around you even when they're not there. They might be on your mind at the moment, and this could be because of the energy that they're expelling into the universe, where they're thinking about you and they're ruminating and they're plotting and they're planning all of these sorts of things. They're quite in their own head about it, in like an Eight of Swords way. This is the Eight of Swords for this deck. They ache for you. They think about what luck they had with you. I think you were someone that was a good communicator with them. You might have been someone that they think that they had a lot of fun with. But at the end of the day, Spirit says block, go no contact. You might be receiving messages if you have any sort of psychic inkling about this person. So listen to those clairaudient messages that you're receiving. We will explore a little bit the dynamic between you and this person and what occurred, and then I'm going to ask about your new beginnings, just because someone might be curious. You might really want to know. I'm not really a fan of entertaining exes, but just so you know, if it's the person that you're thinking of. Actually, let's start with this deck. All right. Spirit, can we get a little bit of information on the collective and their ex? I just want to know whatever information you want to tell me, and I will relay it. Collective on the left, their person on the right. ex-person, I should say, before someone gets upset. I need to remember to project my voice because there's been an issue with the with my microphone. I have to buy a new one, which grates my spirit. Okay, can you clarify these cards for us so we can weave a story together that I can relay to the collective? Classic, classic, classic. There's been so many situationship cards coming up at this time, so a lot of you must be engaged in those types of activities, which I can't blame you. I did a lot of that in my early 20s. Okay, so collective, you've come through as the Cup in reverse. So you've come through as someone who's no longer invested in this union. And as far as you looking at the union, this is someone where you're like, this was a situationship. It looked like something. It looked like the Ace of Cups, but instead it was just the Ace of Swords in reverse. It was a situation that revealed to you certain truths. It could have been truths about the situation itself, that you were deluding yourself. It could have just been truths about what you want out of life and that this doesn't represent anything that you actually want in the long term. You see this situation as actually being benefic. Despite this person coming across as quite dark in their energy and in their intent, you're coming through as whatever has occurred is actually for my benefit because I've learned and I've grown from this situation, and you feel like it was fated. You've come to an understanding that this was meant to happen the way that it did. You're disappointed, but you're like, look, at the end of the day, I've learnt the truth. It was an uncomfortable truth. It was a harsh one, but that's not on that. Like, sometimes it happens. Sometimes not every fated event is going to be you running into the arms of your soulmate and your lover and like living happily ever after. Fate can also be those situations in between, those murky situations, those areas where you're still figuring yourself out and you're learning experientially, right? The person in question, your ex, whether you're a masculine or a feminine, is someone who comes across as scorpionic or, dare I say, Cancerian energy as well, because sometimes they give very similar vibes. I don't know why, but in my head I was hearing, yeah, one's more of a little bitch than the other, but I'll just say it because I did think it. Okay. This is someone who has quite intense or exceptional eyes. They could have an eye color that quite sticks out. If it's not their eye color, it's the intensity of their gaze that is very alluring and can lead you into all sorts of mischief. It's that kind of person when you're like, oh, don't look at me like that, because when you look at me like that, I don't know what's going to come out of me, that kind of energy. And so this is someone who could definitely benefit from some therapy because they have a lot of things going on, and whatever has happened in their past certainly permeates into how they deal with everyone. They probably have a lot of trauma that they have in fact passed on. Instead of dealing with it, they're perpetuating the same traumatic cycles with different people across time. So if that sounds like the person that you were dating, then that's it. And this was someone that knew that when you guys were at the height of your relationship, it was because you were compromising yourself. You were choosing not to address certain things until they sort of piled up and built up, and then you found your backbone, you found your spirit, your strength, and that is what led to the detriment of your relationship. But this wasn't someone who didn't know that you guys being at the height of your relationship was actually at your mercy, so to speak. Like, they were aware that the good times were temporary, but they want to repeat that cycle with you. So it's up to you to decide if you're going to take a stand against this person who wants to get into your energy and fuck your shit up knowingly. Are you going to allow that? I hope not. The energy in between is of crisis. You guys just could not maintain this relationship. It just wasn't meant to be maintained. I've got the Tower here. Don't know if you care to look at it, but here we go. And the reason being one of you may be both or very intuitive. And so while, you know, your ex, because that's what it came through as, your ex was lying, cheating, doing all this stuff, you were getting downloads. And maybe they were also psychic. Maybe it's something that they utilized to try and get one over on you until, you know, maybe your spiritual team decided enough was enough, or maybe the time came, as fate happens, for you to then find out the full extent of this person's negative behavior so that you could respond accordingly. Yeah, it's really come up twice. This is a relationship wherein you guys both enjoyed the level of talking that you did. You guys might have been texting, you know, all the time while you guys were involved in this relationship. You guys might have spent so much time on the phone, speaking for hours on end, falling asleep on the phone. There's just an energy that there was a lot of chatter. And interestingly enough, someone's father might have orchestrated the breakup and or not liked the other, and it eventually kind of seeped in and affected the ending of this relationship, which is interesting that father came up earlier. So if that is your father, maybe it affects whether or not you want to see them at this time. Maybe you're like, okay, like it was great for you to be involved in all, but I don't want you to be involved in all of my relationships. Or you might be like, I don't want you to look at me like I'm dumb, and so you're just kind of needing some space at the moment. Whatever you want is your prerogative. I think you're entitled to that. Now, let me change decks and ask about your new beginnings. I was letting my intuition guide me as to which deck we were going to use today. Now that this relationship is over, what is incoming for my collective? Now that this relationship is over, what's incoming for my collective? Now that this relationship is over, what is incoming for my collective? I always love to pull clarifiers just because I don't have to do it later, and I can tell you what's going on. So, spirit, angels, ancestors, please clarify these cards so we can let the collective know. What are the new beginnings coming through? Okay. So you are focusing, currently I just saw 1414, if that means anything to you. You're currently focusing on transcending, on being of service to the divine, to the higher powers, maybe even to a deity. If you're a person who's into, you know, deity worship, you're a follower of, you know, a deity. I haven't gotten into anything like that, but if that is you, that's what you're focusing on. You're focusing on not dwelling emotionally on what has occurred, how you feel about that. You're choosing to instead pour into yourself spiritually. And for some of you, you might be actually engaging in a little non-monogamy. So you might have decided, you know what, until I find my person or until I find my people, I'm going to be open to kind of enjoying sex and romance without the bounds, you know, without taking it seriously and allowing myself to have different needs met by different people while I'm also managing myself. That could be the kind of energy that you're in. Be wary and be mindful to make sure that you're staying protected. That's been coming up of late in my readings as well. So make sure that you walk around with your protection crystal. Make sure that you're praying before you leave a place and, you know, asking for the right people to walk with you and for protection. Doing your visualizations of, you know, white light protecting you, whatever it is that you like to do for protection, you do that. I'm only here to tell you what would be a great idea to do, especially if you haven't done it in a while, if you know that you've been a bit slack with that sort of thing. Okay, let's see here. You might be feeling guided towards places, peoples, or things that you might be surprised by. And there's a reason for that. It could be past life connections. it's just you were meant to be at a certain place at a certain time, and it might be throwing you off because it might be slightly different to what you've been doing in the past, and therein lies the new energy. The new energy that's coming in for you is experiencing newness in the people, in the places, and you learning to utilize that throat chakra and speaking your truth amongst maybe a different crowd of people, and being surprised that you're being well received. So, say you're a spiritual person, but you've never had the gift of having spiritual friends, but now you've moved to a new city and now you're getting to be in the spaces that you'd always envisioned for yourself, but had never actually had the physical proof that it could pan out that way, right? And so now you're getting a chance to then be that aspect of yourself that you had to hide all those years that you lived in a place that wasn't as open. And yeah, it's really rejuvenating. It's giving you a new lease on life. It's cementing aspects of yourself that have always existed but maybe didn't get the care and attention that they deserved. And you might have walked away from someone. Yeah, you might have walked away from a person or a family member or something that didn't accept certain aspects of you, and now that they're watching you grow and glow and move on into bigger and better, they want to apologize for their actions because they do feel bad about how they made you feel, especially in the areas in which you were already trying to suppress because you knew that you wouldn't be accepted. So there is someone out there that does want to give you an apology. Their spirit confirming. So be mindful of that. And your ancestors are calling, okay? They are ushering you into a new phase of life. Maybe this divinity that you're feeling at this time, the want to pour into the higher realms of your health, say third eye upwards or whatever. You're trying to become more robust in those areas, and your ancestors are like, are you ready for what's going to come on the other side of this self-focus? Are you ready for what's going to come on the other side of you pouring all of this love and attention and energy into your spirituality? Because, and also, what is a sign too that you are sort of activating in the right direction is feeling sexual. You're feeling that root chakra and that sacral chakra activation, okay? You're feeling rooted, and it can manifest itself in you feeling sexual. Now, you feeling sexual doesn't have to mean necessarily that you go sleep with all these different people, as this non-monogamous card has expressed, but this lust can be used for creation. This lust can be used for manifestation. This lust can be enjoyed as you fully enjoying the full spectrum of what it means to be a human being in this time and space. There is nothing wrong with lust, so long as you're not religious, because only religion makes lust and sexuality to be a problem that it actually just isn't. There is no problem there. It's just something that you may have to look at from different lenses. You can look at it from a spiritual lens, wherein, you have to be very protective of who you sleep with and all that sort of stuff, but without the shame. That's my spiritual beliefs. There's a lot less shame once you leave religion when it comes to sex, unless you're in a cult. Uh, just had to pop that in there. Expect some incoming calls and text from a particular old-fashioned gentleman. So I assume this is more for a feminine that might be watching. Spirit, can you tell me about this gentleman that might be reaching out to the collective? Karmic projection. Okay, this could just be your ex. This could be your ex coming through with those manners, coming through as like the ideal guy that you've always wanted. But at the end of the day, you focus on yourself. This person is just not meant for you. This person just has a habit of projecting their own issues onto others. And like I said, them choosing not to face their own issues. is why they keep repeating cycles and perpetuating this behavior all over the place. And last but not least, do not give up. Don't give up on yourself, on your goals, on where you're going, no matter how weird or awkward it looks to other people. Don't be ashamed of being in a relationship that is bad, that other people that you love have managed to see you in. People that love you won't lose respect for you because you've happened to do a very human thing and maybe take someone at their word that they are the love of your life, or follow some instincts that come from physical bodily reactions to meeting someone. Learning to discern between the different feelings, learning to discern it, whether or not you're having butterflies because you're just attracted to someone, versus having butterflies because it's your intuition saying something is up, versus having butterflies because it's just lust. These are things that take time, and I think we all should be a little bit more mindful to ourselves, even that we're not perfect, and a lot of stuff we have to learn by doing. A lot of stuff we have to learn by doing things wrong, and then we come on the other end of that, and then we learn, and then we change our behavior accordingly. If only in this world we weren't so hell-bent on one-upping each other as to who is the most able to live life in the right way, and like who's actually like succeeding based on these arbitrary metrics that someone decided. If we could all have a little bit more patience and grace for each other and the things that we all have to deal with, then we could all have a better world. But that's my sermon of the day. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've been enjoying all my videos. And if you have, please consider liking and subscribing. Please comment down below what you enjoyed. If you feel like you related to this reading, then, please comment down below. Add a little crystal ball in the comments so that I know that you relate to this reading. Because once I realized that I have had this just as a piece of decor and I'm not implementing it in my very witchy readings, I was like, what am I doing? It's also autumn, so this is like perfect. It's like autumny colors. Anyway, I'm gone. Bye.